What's up, guys? Welcome back to the garage. Gerald here with you. I'm somewhat distraught in doing this spoiler-free movie review for you today because this is truly one of those movies that I can say I hated this film, but I also loved this film at the same time. What an absolute crazy fucking experience for the latest Ari Aster film, BEAU is Afraid. Let's talk about it. From his darkest fears comes the greatest adventure. A paranoid man embarks on an epic odyssey to get home to his mother. Now, as I said, this review is going to be spoiler-free. Joaquin Phoenix plays our titular Beau in this movie, and the movie is centered around, much like the description said there, he's trying to get home to his mother, who has encountered some trouble. She lives like 6-7 hours away, they mentioned in the movie. So it's somewhat of a short journey for him to get to her. He encounters a lot of different things that kind of hold him up, a lot of speed bumps along the way. The way the film is framed is almost in a way where you're questioning as the audience what's real and what's imagined, what's real or what's a dream, what's going on in Beau's mind, what's actually playing out in real time. Are some of these characters real? Are some of these experiences that he's going through just in his head? I'm not going to tell you whether any of that comes to fruition. I'm just giving you the basic kind of feel and style of Ari Aster's latest film. Ari Aster, of course, did two of my all-time favorite movies in Hereditary and Midsommar. This movie, in my opinion, is a steep drop-off for Aster. First of all, Beau is Afraid is way too long. The movie runs right around 3 hours. And you feel it. Now, what I will say is the movie is broken up into segments. We have the first kind of segment of the movie, or essentially the first hour of the film, which I actually really enjoyed. I was really on board and kind of hooked into the story, hooked into this character who's portrayed flawlessly by Joaquin Phoenix, by the way. And we get to meet some other really cool, kind of funny, quirky side characters as well. But in that first segment, is when he lives in this dilapidated building in this kind of run-down, crime-ridden town. And he's in this just crappy apartment building that nothing works. There's always notices on the door of issues going on in the apartment building. No water. Poisonous spiders are loose in the building. All kinds of crazy shit. And the way the film plays out in that first hour is kind of like building on our own anxiety and our own fears that we probably had growing up in a apartment building or in a town that we were unfamiliar with, possibly when we went to college or we went out on our own for the first time. There's a lot of kind of built-in anxiety with that. And what this movie does is it takes that and it really times it by 1,000. And all the little things that would bring you anxiety, I don't want to give away anything that happens in the movie, are just heightened for Beau in this film because of a disorder he has or his mental state. We don't really know yet, but it's kind of playing out where we see, okay, this guy has a problem with kind of like everyday inconveniences. Then we get to the second segment of the film, or the second chapter, or whatever you want to call it. Ari Aster doesn't call it anything, by the way. He'll just cut to black and then kind of come into this new setting. But we get that second, and that's where Nathan Lane, his character, is introduced, and Amy Ryan, they're a married couple in the film that kind of take Beau into their home and kind of try to take care of him after an accident, and also in a way try to help him get to his mother because this journey is continuing. And now we're in this kind of domesticated setting, a much prettier home. There's no crime going on around them, but Beau is still enraptured in his own anxiety and what he sees with his family and his experiences in this kind of unknown home. He knew his home in the first segment, but he still had so much stress and anxiety. In the second segment, he doesn't really know his surroundings, and that anxiety is still present. We also get a very long and extremely overbloated segment towards the end of this, but about the halfway point in this movie, we get this long, drawn-out animated sequence. It's kind of like half live action, half almost like stop motion. I don't know. It's very weird. I loved it stylistically, and I thought it was a really cool technical achievement, but it just goes on way too long. There's a narration over it that's kind of telling us what's happening, And I felt like it literally went on for like 10 minutes straight. In fact, it may have gone on that long. And it really doesn't go anywhere. It kind of wraps us back around to where it started. Again, without giving away spoilers, it's hard to really tell you, but it just seemed like a pointless 10 or 15 minutes that was really put in there just as a flex for Ari Aster. And then you get into the last segment of the film, the last hour or so, and this is really when BEAU is finally at his mother's. He reaches his destination and some crazy shit goes down once he gets there. Some things are revealed to us in terms of what we had been seeing throughout the rest of the movie. Patti LuPone, by the way, who portrays the mom, top tier. Her and Joaquin Phoenix in this film are the best acting performances, although I loved everyone. I already mentioned Nathan Lane and Amy Ryan. They also did a really good job. We get some really small kind of supporting roles from Richard Kind and Parker Posey. Everybody's at the top of their game here as far as acting is concerned. And frankly, Aster's at the top of his game as far as filmmaking prowess is concerned as well. So one thing I'm just going to say as I wrap up here with the spoiler free, because it's hard to really go any further without giving too much away. The performances, like I said, stellar. The filmmaking, all the techs involved in this movie, except maybe the editing, because it's too long, stellar. However, the subject matter, the pacing, the length, the challenge that we have to endure as the audience to get through this movie is not something I ever want to do again. This is a movie that I love so much about it visually and technically, but I hated just how Aster really puts us in the mindset of our lead character, BEAU, who is a character that is in shambles, who is literally rock bottom on screen. Just stress, anxiety, loneliness, sadness, depression. Joaquin Phoenix sells it and nails it. I believed it the whole time. I just don't want to be in that mindset when I go to the movies. You know, there's a lot to admire from this film, but there's very little to enjoy in this film. This is not an enjoyable movie. If you're turning it on mute and you're looking at different scenes and technical stuff, you'll enjoy it. If you enjoy this story, I'm worried about you. This is a very hard, challenging watch, and some cinephiles will like that, and I've seen some of my friends online that think very highly of this movie. I can kind of see why, but it's not for me. The Ari Aster that I love is Hereditary. That is also a dark, demented film, but it goes somewhere. And you don't feel emotionally drained when the movie ends. When BEAU is Afraid ended, I do these instant reactions out of the theater. I didn't even know, not only did I not know what to say, I didn't even know how to feel. Like I was literally like, is Ari Aster okay? Like that. I mean, I'm not trying to be funny, but that was like almost like a cry for help in a lot of ways. And I know he has been through some stuff in his personal life, and that comes out in his art, which I think is great. But as a general audience member going to see BEAU is Afraid, you're going to hate it. If you're a cinephile who loves the weird, indie, quirky swings that a lot of filmmakers take, Aster included, you're probably going to find some things to like about this movie. If it had been 2 hours, I'm not kidding you, I probably would have been giving this like 4 or 5 stars. If it had been 2 hours, I would have probably loved it. But it just asks too much of us as it goes on, and it continues to overuse the same beats over and over again that I mentioned. Loneliness, anxiety, stress. Like, we get it. The guy's in a bad place. We get it. It just kind of beats that into you. And for that reason, I'm going to stay away from this one. I admire it, but I did not like it. It's going to be literally a split down the middle for me for BEAU is Afraid. Out of 100, I'm going to give this one just a little bit more than right in the middle. I'm going to give it a 51. Won't be revisiting it anytime soon. I'm sorry, Ari. I love you. I'm going to go watch Hereditary again. What did you guys think of BEAU is Afraid? Are you going to see it? Did you see it? Please let me know down in the comments. And please subscribe to this channel. Don't be afraid. I'll see you next time in the garage.